Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I am super happy to share with you guys the Nurgle Chaos Warrior unit I started building. This is part 1 as I still have half the unit to build, so stay tuned for the inspiration, the sculpting, and then the commentary at the end. So the inspiration, as usual guys, is from the Tarmacan Horde artwork. As you can see from these two photos, it's truly a chaotic horde. There are beastmen, plague bearers, warriors, just a huge diverse cast of the followers of chaos. And I love the color palette, so these two photos kind of dictated how I would approach this unit. And another big inspiration is the Lost and the Damned era when they released Nurgle. All of these photos you're going to see show why I want to make my unit like this. Back then, Chaos Warriors were so diverse. They were not all the same plated looking warrior marching step in step that we see in 6th edition moving forward, even 5th edition. But it's not bad, but what I want to do is achieve that look I grew up looking at and I just love so much, as Chaos truly is a rabble and a horde of just devout followers of their specific god. So this is another reason why you're going to see all these random miniatures in the unit. So guys, this section is just going to showcase a lot of the models I have in my collection that I'm using. Up first is one of the command models from the Nightmare Legion. I was converting him and then I decided to use him for this army. Up next is a wizard from the Citadel range. I think it starts with an R. He's a very cool looking model. And essentially the models you're seeing are all just a huge variety of models that I didn't have a plan for yet and I thought would fit perfectly into this crazy Realm of Chaos era Tarmacan unit. And this guy specifically is a Pan Tang character, I believe, from the Eternal Champions range. I'm not entirely sure. This is the Eternal Champion miniature, and I really went crazy. I added armor plating. I made him have a mutation of Nurgle, which is like the face of a great unclean one. In my headcanon, he's supposed to be a corrupted noble, and this whole project, so this is part 1. Part 2 will show more conversions, and I really wanted to throw in these cool looking miniatures that are unique just to me. For this guy, for example, I really loved the maggoty theme of Tarmacan, and so I gave him a giant worm coming from his chest into his mouth. And I was inspired by that original Death Guard artwork, I believe in 4th edition by Adrian Smith. And the whole armor, you can tell I just followed along. It looks a little bit like Space Marine armor, but I had a lot of these old miniatures for reference, and I had fun just sculpting all the corruption and trying to still be tasteful in it. This portion, I went back and added rivets as I thought something was missing, and you're going to see the grand reveal now. And guys, here are the Warriors of Chaos revealed. I'm going to go through each one individually and explain a bit more about the backstory, inspiration, and just, the typical commentary I usually do. So we're going to start off with this Chaos Warrior. I really love how he turned out. He was based off of, again, the Nightmare Legion command unit. I think they look fantastic, and again, I was leaning into the way Nurgle used to be portrayed. Instead of so fat, enlarged, and full of tentacles and mutations, I wanted to lean more into the death and decay aspect. And especially because, Nurgle models had a certain tone to them in the Realm of Chaos era. They were very jolly, but at the same time, quite gruesome. And I'd say leaning more into the death part. So this guy, really happy the way he turned out, especially with all the sculpting, the weathering and non-metallic. I'm making a faster version of it, so I'm pretty happy. It still takes a little bit of time, but I'm trying to aim for something that looks nice on the table, but doesn't break my back when it comes to painting. Each one of these guys took between an hour to an hour 50. he leaned a bit more on the hour 50 mark as he has more of the metals. I'm just really happy with like the maggot coming into his mouth and the skin tone. Um, he just looks so gruesome, and I really do like it a lot. Let's go to the back of him. I'm happy with the mutations and everything that, the corruption coming out of him. Still tasteful, not overly done. And I kind of like how from the back, because I used the Nightmare Legion model, he kind of looks like he was an Empire soldier at one point, got corrupted, and I really do like that look. I like these bucket style helmets, or I don't know how to describe them, but they're really cool. And I really adored the Nightmare Legion models. I think they are perfect base models for conversions, especially because the way I viewed it, the bones are an armature and you can sculpt around it. So painting, I'm really happy with it. My Chaos dudes are leaning more for this. It's like a Stegodon green scale highlighted up to Cabalite green with some white, and then you just add some weathering and making it look, Nurgle and rotten. I'm really happy with the look overall. Skin tone, and this guy is more of a yellow skin tone, so I can tie it in with the plague bearers and the plague toad. Just overall super happy with the grotesque nature of him. So let's move on to the next Chaos Warrior. So on to the next warrior. This guy is actually supposed to be a empire noble or a count of some sorts. Like I mentioned in the sculpting video, he has the face of a great unclean one mutation, and so in my mind, he did quite a few fell deeds to earn such a boon from Father Nurgle. And I'm really happy with the overall paint scheme. This very vibrant green tone, I think, pops. I'm really happy with the metals once again. It's a quick and dirty way of doing weathering and adding chips. Again, I could spend a lot more time, but I want this army to be, well, first of all, I need it done fairly soon. But second of all, aiming for like a tabletop standard is quite therapeutic, and I think it's helping me get through all my backlog, which is the biggest goal. I'd love to spend, 50 hours on a single miniature, maybe for like a competition, but for army painting, this is the best I can do. Enough about that. Really happy with how the eye came out, and overall all of the colors. I think they play really well together. I'm really happy I went for this very bright green skin tone, as he looks like a watermelon, and I'm really happy about that. The mutation turned out pretty cool, and overall, I'm really happy with the way this model presents itself. You wouldn't expect a Nurgle warrior to be so thin and a little bit gangly, and I like that a lot. He reminds me of the Age of Sigmar sorcerer they released recently for the new battle tome. I just like how Nurgle doesn't always have to be huge, fat, and bloated. My guy is still bloated, but at the same time, that death part and decay, they can be gaunt, thin, and just overall still disturbing to look at. I'm really happy with the ichor coming out of the mouth, or like it's like a pus color. So overall, really happy with this count. Move on to the next warrior. So I'm going to do these two together just because they're a little bit similar. Now, they are not warriors. Once again, the theme of the unit is supposed to be just like the mass cultist horde, actual warriors, and beastmen. I think with looking at the original artwork again, they're just everywhere, and I really want to bring that to the tabletop. So what you're looking in front of you are two unmodified miniatures, as there's a reason for it. This guy is a Chaos Agent. It is one of the, I think, limited edition runs from Citadel many years ago for a board game. Is it like Chainsaw something? I'll throw up a photo up here. Quite not superly rare, but very obscure miniature. And the next one is the occultist from the Citadel Gothic horror range, the CC1 range. And I am so happy I have both of these guys. I've spent over a year and a half looking for this miniature, as he's really simple. I think we all obviously can see where the inspiration comes from, but I think he looks great in Chaos, and he looks like a Cult of the Possessed miniature, and I love it so much. And then the other one with the same robes, I love the Chaos Agent. Um, I'm surprised that I haven't seen him painted more. Very lovely miniature, and I think both of them bring a cool element to the unit. So I'm gonna talk a bit about the Gothic horror guy first. Very simple details, nothing crazy. He pretty standard. I'm for my Nurgle scheme based off of the artwork of Tarmarkin. I'm giving these guys more of this red kind of accent color because it's shown in the artwork. And I think it's a nice way to pop. All of my horns for my Nurgle are the old school black and red. So I think this helps tie the miniatures in. Pretty straightforward, not a lot of detail, but that's why I like this miniature a lot. He has this cool little torch, and I made it a green balefire just for Nurgle, I think. Really interesting. He holds a small little book, and when I turn him around, pretty simple on the back. Um, Pardon my varnish. I think I just opened it and it's a little bit. It's not exactly matte. I'm still using the same varnish I usually do, but I've noticed this batch of models have a little bit of a shine to them, so I may have to go back and knock it back a little bit. But the miniature is fantastic. Really love the way he turned out, and I think the simplicity is what I like. I made the skin tones a little bit more nurgly and corrupted, which you don't know what's underneath that hood, which I think it's really interesting. Moving to the Chaos Agent miniature, actually, I believe this is supposed to be a corn symbol on his chest, but I really do love uh, how sickly he looks and how much cool plating of armor he has with the gauntlets and the mask. So I thought this guy would be perfect for my little Nurgle cult unit, and overall, really happy with the way he turned out. Such a cool miniature, and it's a shame that he's not more recognized. I think he's really cool holding the blade in this like assassin pose. And again, these gauntlets, he'd be a perfect Corn cultist if I played a Corn, but I do not. But I think with a slight adjustment to the paint job, he easily fits into the theme of Nurgle. Again, both of them have a similar green skin tone. I just wanted to make sure, there's a connection and to justify these are chaos warriors, I wanted to give them that unusual aspect, and I think this, the green skin tone helps with that a lot. But these are the two cultists. Let me move on to the last two chaos warrior models. So here are the last two chaos warrior models for the first batch. One of them is an iconic chaos beastman. The second one is an actual rare citadel wizard. I forgot the exact name of him, but I will throw it up on the screen. Let's talk about him first, as I really do like him a lot. Fitting into that cultist theme you just saw with the two other miniatures, I think he looks fantastic. This guy is again unmodified. He's quite chunky. He fits very nicely on this 30 millimeter base. So I think, it shouldn't be too hard believing this is a quote unquote chaos warrior. I love the boils and just the sickly nature of this guy. A little bit reminds me of Todd's Carnival of Chaos, or just Carnival of Chaos overall, with the little jester mask or whatever you call it. I think he looks fantastic, and I really do like him a lot. If I'm really desperate, I could use this guy as a chaos sorcerer in a pinch. For now, he's just a chaos warrior in the unit, but if I run out of time, I can always use this guy as my Chaos Sorcerer Lord. And again, I want to note this thing. You can see the shine. Maybe it's the light. Maybe the varnish is a little bit bad. I'm not sure. It has a little bit of a glare to it. Usually I don't mind it, but for this batch of guys, it seems to be quite prominent. So I may have to go back and put one more coat as I'm not sure why. Some parts look fine, other parts are a little bit glaring. But that's the awesome looking Citadel Wizard. I think perfect Nurgle warrior, or even a Marauder if you really wanted to. And then up next is one of my favorite Beastman miniatures Citadel produced. I don't know if he has a name. I can look it up and post it, here on screen if I find it. But I love him having two heads, and just a snake arm. And now you may ask, what has this guy got to do with Nurgle? I have no clue. I just think Tarbakin's horde is full of rejects and mutants and abominations, and this guy looks like he would go along with the Maggot Lord, and I really do like the miniature overall. To tie it in, I had to put the red cloth, and then the skin tone matches the Bile Trolls. But besides that, he's just pretty stock, but I think the stock miniature is lovely. And then the snake, upon reflection, I think this guy would work more for potentially Slanesh, maybe Zinch, but again, who knows? Nurgle was just feeling cheeky and gave the guy or the Beastman a snake arm. And I like having the Beastman in the unit. Again, you read in the lore that when, Chaos Warriors or Chaos attack, they have hordes of Beastmen with them. I just didn't want to make my Marauder unit so cool looking by putting all of these models. I think the Chaos Warrior stat line fits these beautiful sculpts a lot more than a basic lowly Marauder. So that's the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Part 2 will come out sometime next week with the commander unit or the sergeant champion and the banner. I hope you guys enjoyed the inspiration, my thought process, and how I'm creating my Realm of Chaos era Warrior of Chaos unit.